All right, everyone, we are going through week 3. This is the third video in a series of 4 related to regulating your cycle, boosting your fertility, and really looking at your hormones in a completely different way from an Eastern medicine aspect to really dive into what's going on with your body to help it regulate and function better. So I'm Dr. Beth Westy, women's health and hormone expert. I'm also a certified functional medicine practitioner, as well as licensed in acupuncture and Chinese medicine. And you can find more info on how to eat for your hormones in your cycle in my book, The Female Fat Solution, which is on Amazon, as well as I went in depth more in a podcast series on the Female Hormone Solution podcast. So you can listen there. And then again, remember to check out the links below this video to learn more about tinctures that you can utilize along with eating for your hormones and cycle, seed cycling, and then utilizing tinctures to help regulate your hormones and go through a normal pattern. Now, keep in mind what I am talking about here is some basic stuff for if you have a fairly regular cycle. I will be doing another series, so stay tuned for that. Make sure you are subscribed and following. And again, email me with any questions that you have specifically until that other series comes out, where I'm going to be diving into specific hormone issues, or what if your cycle is too long or too short, or you're ovulating too early or too late. How do I navigate some of these changes? I am going to go through that. Now, there are specific acupuncture and acupressure points that I don't have listed here specifically because it is important that you see a practitioner who is really well versed in hormones and fertility to have them do the specific points. But there's a lot of information here that you can utilize and do at home. And that's my purpose of doing this series. Really to give you guys some content, some info to say, hey, I can get started with this. I can dive into this and track my body more, get more bioinformation so that you can actually make these changes moving forward. Okay, let's dive in. So week 3, we are really focused on post-ovulation. Now, when we're looking at just before the body ovulates, remember the basal body temperature would drop and then spike. This is now the time that we want to see your basal body temperature elevate, and we want it to stay elevated. If it rises and then drops again, that's not a good thing, and we have to implement different things to help that basal body temperature stay elevated. Now, ovulation, what happens then is that we are releasing that progesterone, and that's represented here by this red line. We want that increase in basal body temperature. We want that release of progesterone post-ovulation. That's really, really important. Once the body will form the corpus luteum around day 13 or 14, right? But then that will begin the secretion of progesterone and estrogen. But then after that, the secretion, the corpus luteum dies. And then the progesterone will take over, and the endometrial nutrients are going to inhibit the pituitary from secreting more LH, FSH. That's going to prevent you from ovulating again, type of thing. We just want to ovulate once. We want to have that process happen once per cycle, and then the progesterone can really increase nicely. And that's really, really important. Progesterone literally means progestation, prepping your body for a pregnancy every month. So we want to be able to get pregnant and stay pregnant with having a regular cycle like this. So increasing basal body temperature. Now, energetically, what is happening? You go from yin to yang. Now remember, yin is cooler and a little bit slower energy overall. Yang is faster, hotter, right? Now you might feel a little different. I've talked a lot about in my other videos and content, talking about how in progesterone, it can kind of slow your digestive system. You're going to need more sleep. You're going to need more protein and minerals and nutrients and all that stuff. Yes, but you want that temperature to be higher. You want that shift over to happen. That's very, very, very important. If you are solely focused on just the ovulation and not the week post-ovulation, then you're missing out on maintaining that elevated body temperature, which is essential and crucial at this point. So with this, we want to tonify the blood that you have. Remember just before this, the estrogen is really building that endometrium and having a lot of nourishment and nutrient there. We want to tonify that and really focus on having a lot of energy in that conception vessel, but we want it more located midsection still in the abdomen. We do not want to bring it down yet. We do not want to have it flow out yet. We want to support it midsection. That is a really important thing. So we don't want to stimulate the feet too much, the lower legs too much. You want to keep everything kind of easy going, easy peasy, in the abdomen. Again, you want to make sure you're not getting too bloated, not getting too constipated, that your digestive system is functioning properly here too. So important things there. We also want to make sure you're staying hydrated. We also want to look at tonifying the kidneys. Some of the herbs and things that I recommend for people are also focused around this. Liver, heart, kidneys, spleen. Those are really important energetic functions here when we're looking at where your energy is located. And we want this, again, to think about it like filling with blood, filling with nourishment, nutrient, and a lot of positive, uplifting things going on at this point. Because if there is a fertilized egg, right? If the egg was released, it goes down the fallopian tube. You know, if there is a fertilized egg, we want it to implant around day 19, 20, 21, something like that. So during this time frame, during week 3, that's sort of the end of week 3, right at the beginning of week 4, we want that to be able to happen. And that's only going to happen if you're really focused on sleep and everything else. Now, the other key thing that I will just tell you to focus on too is warming everything. You want full fat products. You want to make sure you're having full fat dairy products. You want to eat beef. You want to eat bacon. You want to eat beef liver. You do not want to eat any raw vegetables at this point. It's very depleting on the spleen. It's very harsh on your system at this point. Again, for what we're working towards. And if you're like, that sounds kind of weird. Yep, it might sound weird if you've not heard it like this before or thought about the tone of the food of what you're eating and how it's going to support your system. But you really want to stay away from a lot of like, oh, I'm going to eat a bunch of raw broccoli. Broccoli's good for hormones. I mean, for sure it is. But at this point, not a good idea. Not a good idea to do that. So keep that in mind with really focusing on bringing that heat into the body. Bringing that heat into the body and getting a lot of rest. So that's what I got for you guys today. Again, please let me know if you have any questions. If you are wondering, oh my gosh, I want to know what my hormones are doing. I'm not sure if my levels are able to elevate or they stay elevated. Again, not only do I recommend using tinctures, you know, regulating your stress levels, all of that, talking about eating for your cycle, which I have in my book. The other thing, and again, you can reach out to me if you have more questions on this, but Dutch testing. Dutch hormone testing tells you exactly what's going on in your system. They have what's called a cycle mapping test. So for most gals that I work with for fertility issues, if you're thinking like, I'm not sure, or my cycle's pretty irregular and I'm not really sure what's going on, not only getting the Dutch, but also adding on the cycle mapping to it. And it does take a month to collect all that data. But not only are we able to compare that to what your basal body temperature is doing, we get to see how your system is processing it as well. So this is the key thing here. Very, very important process that happens. You get your body to ovulate, you get everything to start shifting over. We want that changeover, estrogen to progesterone here, yin to yang, energy really centrally focused and located, and tonify everything. So that's what I got for you today. Please let me know if you have any questions. I am here for whatever you need, and I will chat with you guys later. Stay tuned for the 4th video in this series, the last one that I'm doing for this fertility series.